Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Visit our website, holybatcast.com. It is your one-stop shop for all things Holy BatCast. You can also find us all over the internet on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. And if you love the show, we are also on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast and just help keep the show moving. Really appreciate it, everyone who's done that. You guys are amazing. And if you don't do it, it's okay. We still love you. But it's an option if you want to support us. We are part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. So if you want to check out some of the different shows part of the network, you can do that at rf4rm.com. As always, I am your host, Andy DiGenova. Hi. And if you'd like to follow me, you can do that on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now, this episode, we are going to be finally getting around to reviewing the DC animated film Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. It's one we had been meaning to do, and we talked about doing, and then we forgot because things get crazy. And so we're finally getting back around to it. And joining me, I have my two partners in crime, my two fellow Batwomen. First of all, who got up nice and early, it's Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
Nice and early. I don't know if there's anything nice about it, but it's definitely early.
Well, early nonetheless. It was nice of you to get up early. How about that?
We'll see how nice I am an hour from now.
Accurate. I mean, but nice for you is a sliding scale.
Fair point.
We'll see how it goes. So also joining us, he is down there. He's feeling better after his little cold last week, and he is escaping the fires, thank God. It is our pal, Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
Bet you never thought we'd be doing this episode.
I bet you're right. So, okay, now I just realized what you sent me earlier. Because you sent it to me before I watched the movie, and I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And then now it's all coming together. Yeah.
There we go.
I bet you never thought. Yeah, okay, all right. I'll eventually get there. It just takes me some time. But hey, Brendan.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
I read it. Yeah, Happy New Year to you. I read it, and I just was like, huh. And then I was busy because... Here you go. Spoilers. I recorded 2 other podcasts today. So I looked at it. I didn't get it. And I didn't have a chance to go, hey, what are you talking about?
Because, I thought you may have watched the movie already, but clearly you hadn't.
No, I watched the movie post-recording 2 other podcasts today. It's been a very full day, but not going outside at all.
Very good.
But it is very, very butt-ass cold here in Beijing, so I am not sad about not going out today.
It is very warm here in Australia.
Did you say butt-ass cold?
I did. I don't know if that I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm sticking with it.
I mean, I've heard colder than a
cold.
well-digger's ass. I've heard colder than a witch's tit. I've heard all kinds of things, but I've never heard butt-ass cold.
It's butt-ass cold.
I'm going to add that to the vernacular.
I decided. Anyway, yeah. So Happy New Year, gentlemen. It's good to be back.
Certainly is. What a good way to be starting the year too.
Yeah, kick off the year by checking something off the list that we'd been meaning to do in the fall, and we forgot. And I forgot to mention it, but guess what? We also watched another episode of Batman Beyond. We're bringing that back. Boom. So
wait,
this is a productive
Brandon, did you
episode.
watch it this time?
I did.
Okay, just making sure. I'm not suffering alone here.
No.
Oh, there was a moment where I didn't think I was going to get to watch it, which I won't bore you with the details, but I was like, they will kill me because I made them both watch it. And if I show up and I'm like, yeah, I didn't get a chance.
Yeah. But just circling back to how you were saying it was butt-ass cold, whatever you said, where you are in China, there was a place in Australia today down south that the reports were saying it was the hottest place on the planet today. And it was at like 48.9 degrees, which translated to your speak in Fahrenheit, it's like 120.
Oh,
that's hot.
Man.
Yeah.
That's cooking stuff on the hood of your car hot.
Yep.
Yeesh. Yeah, and it's like 1 degree here in Beijing.
Yeah.
Is that Fahrenheit? I assume. Well, 1 degree not. Yeah.
First one, then the other.
Okay.
Anyway, yes. Back when Batwoman, the television show, was going to premiere in the fall, we were like, hey, that would be a great time to finally do the animated mystery of the Batwoman movie. And we forgot about it, and then someone wrote in and was like, hey, weren't you guys going to do that? And we're like, oh yeah, I guess we did say we were going to do that. And we didn't. So when we were trying to figure out what to do for this episode, Brendan's the one who remembered, who was like, hey, didn't we say we were going to do that? I was like, good, let's do it. Let's check it off the list. But this is one of those that, like, it's one of the few Batman the Animated Series movies, and it's really the last big one. The last one we have to check off is the Batman Superman movie, but that, that's Superman too. But this is the last truly Batman the Animated Series movie.
It's also episodes strung together, whereas this is an original movie.
Right. This was an original movie.
Which I did not know this was part of the animated series universe, so that was a nice surprise for me when I started watching it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. Let's talk about all that stuff as we look back at 2003 Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. All right, so Batman Mystery of the Batwoman was direct-to-video. It is a feature-length animated movie that is a spin-off of Batman the Animated Series and then subsequently the new Batman Adventures. According to IMDb, it was released on October 21st of 2003. And what you said earlier, Brendan, is it didn't hit you guys till 2004.
Correct, yeah. We got it, it was mid-year around 2004. This came out the same time that we got the first ever releases of Batman the Animated Series on DVD. And they were just sort of those individual volumes. I think there was 3 volumes that came out that had like 5 or 6 episodes on each one. It was like a big chunk of season 1 of the animated series. And for the longest time, that's all that was available over here in terms of that on DVD. But yeah, they came out in 2004. And I remember thinking it was weird because they came out here right at the time Spider-Man 2 hit theaters.
Huh.
So it was the first sort of Batman, because it was pre-Batman Begins, and it was right smack bang in the period where I hadn't read comics for years. Honestly, I hadn't really given a shit about Batman for years. And, Spider-Man was the biggest thing in terms of superhero cinema. And I remember being really excited for Spider-Man 2 to come out, and then looking at a catalogue for, I think it was Target or Kmart or something one day, and seeing these DVDs advertised. I was like, oh, crap, that's the cartoons I used to watch. So I went and checked them out, and I bought the new movie, and spoiler alert, I really liked it then. And I still really like it now.
Nice. Yeah, and what's so interesting, though, is that this came out over 4.5, almost 5 years after the new Batman Adventures ended. Mm-hmm. So the new Batman Adventures ended in January of 1999. This came out in the fall of 2003 and then 2004 if you're in Australia. So it's crazy that like 4 years later they were like, oh, let's do a straight-to-video animated movie. And so I do think that when it came out, like a lot of people missed it because no one was expecting it. No one was waiting for it. There was minimal promotion to what I remember. And so, yeah, it just sort of came out and we were like, oh, weird. They did a Batman animated series movie. And this was one that I don't think I saw for years because when it came out, I just wasn't paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. Jamie, what about you?
I have no memory of this movie coming out whatsoever. And yesterday was the first time I've ever watched it. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I knew that you had not seen it because whenever it's been brought up, you'd always say, "Oh yeah, I never caught it, but whenever we review it, that's when I'll watch it." So it'll be very interesting to hear what you think coming in completely fresh.
I have thoughts.
I'm sure you do, and that's why we're here to share thoughts and feelings. So yeah, it's so funny because it came out and I didn't even realize it was coming out. And so yeah, it was one of those that I think I finally bought maybe 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. I finally bought it digitally. I had never owned it on disc. And I had seen it once prior to that at my sister and brother-in-law's place, because my brother-in-law loves the DC animated universe. So I think I watched it with him, and I think I only half watched it. Because we talked a lot, I think, about other things while it was on. So like I only had a little bit of a recollection, and then a few years ago I finally was like, well, I guess I should own that. And so I bought it on iTunes and watched it then, and I went, oh yeah, okay, I remember this. And then I hadn't seen it since then until today in preparation for this episode. So, spoiler free, overall thoughts about Mystery of the Batwoman. Brendan, you already kind of gave yours away, so why don't you take it from here?
Look, I think it's a really good addition to the Batman animated series universe. I think it is a good addition to kind of the animated movie trilogy. If you're sort of just looking at, say, your solo Batman movie, so Mask of the Phantasm, Sub-Zero, and then Mystery of the Batwoman, I think they're a good little watch if you sort of sit down and watch them all together, or close together at least. It's I said before, I really like it. I think it does a good job of the first time you watch it keeping the mystery, or at least it did for me anyway. It sort of kept me guessing a little bit, and when it all fell into place, you're like, oh, of course. Kevin Conroy's great. All your voice actors are great. You've got, what's his name, Cogsworth from Beauty and the Beast doing the Penguin.
David Ogden Stiers.
Yeah.
Which is David Ogden Stiers, who we talked about him recently on Disorder, because he did a lot of Disney voices in the 90s. And so yeah, he was Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast. He was Governor Ratcliffe in Pocahontas. He was Jumba in Lilo and Stitch. He was the Archdeacon in Hunchback.
He didn't voice Penguin in season 4 of Batman the Animated Series, did he?
No. So the Penguin in the series was always Paul Williams.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And so for this, they switched it. Yeah,
it was just the obviously the character design that changed in season 4, but I thought the voice stayed the same. But yeah, it was seeing that David Ogden Stiers do it. That was interesting. I think I alluded to it in my intro. I think it's got a banger of a pop song in it, which was weird for an animated movie like this.
I can't wait to hear what Jamie says about that song. I cannot wait. It started and I went, Jamie's gonna love this.
It's very 2003, 2004.
Because I'll never forget how much Jamie loves the song, the Tia Carrere song at the end of Mask of the Phantasm.
But it's obviously they couldn't get Shakira, so they got this person. Actually, I'll tell you now. I used to have on my iPod back in the day. I had a big Batman playlist, so I just had all the Batman. Everyone did, and you got it on Spotify and stuff now. Like everyone has a Batman playlist. And I sought this song out, and it was on my Batman playlist on my iPod for years. Don't ask me things because I always forget. I can't remember, but I genuinely enjoy it, and I'm glad that we're finally getting around to.
So it is sung by Cherie. I don't know who that is, but that's who sings it.
She was a bit of a looker for memory too. Just sort of remembering the cover art from the single that I downloaded off iTunes like 10 years ago.
Awesome. So anyway, Jamie, coming in, having very little knowledge about this movie, spoiler-free, what are your thoughts?
Speaking of spoiler-free, I just want to say you are some cool people out there, because a lot of you have told me that this movie was really good and I should check it out. And many of you even mentioned that the twist was really good in it. And somehow in all the years that discussion has happened, that twist never got ruined for me. So thank you very much to everybody that let that slide. Somehow I managed to go 16 plus years not seeing a movie and not being spoiled on what happened, which is just amazing. I enjoyed the film. I think there's a lot to like. There's very little not to like. I mean, just to go straight to the song, it started playing in the club, and I was like, "Oh my God, did they get Shakira to do the soundtrack for this?" And I was so impressed. And then I was like, "No, that sounds like her, but it doesn't sound like her." So I busted out my trusty Shazam app and found out it was this other person, Cherie or whatever it was. And Brendan's right; she is pretty good looking. Anyway,
was Shakira a thing in 2003 already?
I don't remember
so.
when. I think so.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, dude. She was big in 2002.
Andy, I don't wish to alarm you, but we're old.
Don't tell me that.
Sorry.
I don't want to know.
Andy, I don't wish to alarm you.
In my brain, okay, thank you. In my brain, Shakira didn't show up until a couple years after that, but maybe I just have lost track of the time.
My wife...
Because obviously that's the style that they're going for, so it does feel like, yes, like they wanted something in that vein where they didn't have to pay for her. But I just was like, 2003 just felt early to me.
Yeah, my wife had an iPod before she got pregnant with our twins, because I remember her listening to a lot of Nine Inch Nails and singing to the twins while they were hanging out inside of her. Anyway.
And that's why they were like, it's Halloween, let's get out of here.
Anyway, so she had that for a good year before she got pregnant. My twins were born in 2005, so I mean, the math adds up. Because Shakira would have been a thing before she had the iPod, and that was one of the first songs that I put on her iPod.
Wow. Okay. We're old. Great. Terrific. Good news.
Anyway,
I feel good about this.
This movie does a trope that it doesn't do it as badly as many other things I've seen. It gives you more options. We'll cross that when we get over the spoiler wall. That sort of irks me, but the way everything was set up, the way it was done, the animation, the voice cast, I think everything was really pretty solid overall. I'm gonna just jump to my worst thing right now. I don't know, spoilers or not, I don't give a damn. My least favorite thing about this, I freaking hate that design for Bane. At least the mask part.
Okay.
Every time I see that mask on a screen for the animated series, I just expect Bruce Willis to be walking down a flight of stairs with a samurai sword behind him.
So it sounds like you didn't hate the song.
I didn't like it. I didn't hate it.
I'm very disappointed.
Well, I like Shakira a lot, actually. I told everybody way back then that she was going to wind up taking over the world by the time she was, into her second or third album, and she just kind of fell off the face of the map, at least in the U.S. I mean, internationally, she might still be enormous for all I know. She might still be enormous here. I don't listen to pop music much, so I don't know. But I don't feel like she's in the pop culture zeitgeist, as it were.
She had a really good song on the Zootopia soundtrack, too.
Yeah, she was Gazelle in Zootopia.
She was.
And I feel like she did a season or two of, like, The Voice or something. Like, she pops up now and then. She's not gone, but no, she did not take over the world.
Which is unfortunate because
she took over Zootopia, which is better than The World.
Really talented. She's got a unique voice that I liked. I liked most of her music quite a bit. And, I mean, obviously she's easy on the eyes, so, I mean, there's that.
This is so funny, given how in-depth we're talking about Shakira, and she didn't sing the song in the movie we're talking about.
It wasn't even her.
No. What happened to her?
You asked, I told. That's all I'm saying.
What did you say her name was? Just Chanel or something?
Cherie.
What happened to her? That's what we should be talking about.
Was she ever a thing? That's my question.
I don't think
she got absorbed back into Shakira like Clayface. Okay, Jamie, anything else to add? You good?
I really can't say much else until we get over the wall.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all very much on the same page. It's a really good movie. I wouldn't call it a great one, but it's a good one. And I do think it's a nice companion, as Brendan said, to Mask of the Phantasm and to Sub-Zero. It's nice that we got this extra animated film set in the world of the animated series. I think that of the three, it's probably the least of the three, but that doesn't mean it's not still good on its own. And when watching it, I mostly just thought, gosh, why didn't we get more of these? Like we got three really good animated movies based on the show. I just feel like Warner Brothers should have been pumping out way more of them during that time, but for whatever reason, that didn't happen. But I really like it. I think the animation is great. It is nice to revisit the world of the animated series, and in 2003, it would have been nice too, because at that point, the show would have been gone for a few years. It would have been nice to go, oh, great, like this is a nice little return. And so, yeah, it's great to have Kevin Conroy back as Batman, and then most of the voices from the animated series, or at least some of them. You know?
Well, they were well into Justice League at this period.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, it's really good, and it truly is a mystery, which I enjoy about it. You know, it's mystery of the Batwoman, and the whole thing really is the mystery of who is the Batwoman. So, no, I think it's fun. I think it's a good watch, and I've enjoyed it. I've not regretted owning it. So for people who have never gotten around to seeing it, or people who love the animated series, I think it's a good, solid movie to revisit that world, and adds a little something new to the mythology of that series by creating a new version of Batwoman. And I think that's what is interesting, is that, you know, this was before the reinvention of Batwoman in the comics. And so Batwoman was just this thing from way, way back where they were like, hey, what if we did our take on Batwoman, and that could be a new animated movie? And I think that's an interesting idea, but they really just created the character from scratch and then created the whole mystery of who is she. So I think that's actually really fun too. It's not a version of the character that's stuck, obviously, but for this movie, I think it works, and I think it's pretty cool to get a take on Batwoman before then she was reinvented as Kate Kane. So, yes, we mentioned earlier, Kevin Conroy is Batman. You mentioned David Ogden Stiers takes over as the Penguin from Paul Williams. Kira Sedgwick is Batwoman. Kelly Ripa provides a voice in here of a character named Rocky, a new character.
Yeah, y'all want to know a secret? I love Kelly Ripa. Love her.
I'm not shocked to hear that.
It's a strange thing. Like, I have two really strange, like, celebrity crushes, and it's her and Kristen Chenoweth.
Oh, okay.
Don't ask me to explain either of them, but it's like I see both of them and I just kind of do the whole Willy Wonka, put my head on my hand and smile thing. Yeah.
Kristen Chenoweth, she's the one that was in Wicked, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, I know who you're talking about.
I know Kristen Chenoweth from Pushing Daisies. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. But Bob Hastings returns as Commissioner Gordon. Robert Costanzo returns as Bullock. Tara Strong is Barbara Gordon. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. is Alfred. Hector Elizondo shows up as Bane.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah, that was interesting as well. But I think it works. I like it.
Yeah.
And Kevin Michael Richardson, voice talent extraordinaire, is a new character, Carlton Duquesne. At least I think it's a new character in this movie. I don't recall seeing Carlton Duquesne in anything else. I feel like it was just this movie.
I think you're right.
So anyway, good voice cast, good animation, and a lot of the same crew as well from Batman the Animated Series. And so, yeah, quick overview of the movie. There is a new vigilante in Gotham, and she is Batwoman. She kind of looks like Batman, but she has less regard for human life, as Bruce Wayne says. And so Bruce is kind of pissed because Batwoman's out there causing trouble, getting in the middle of things, causing collateral damage, putting people in danger. And because she's dressed up like a bat, he's like, hey, everybody's going to think she's one of my Bat family, and she ain't. I don't know who she is.
And his brand recognition was far more important than saving the lives of the people that were put in danger.
It's the same, it's all about your personal brand these days. So he and Robin, and it is still the Tim Drake Robin, he and Robin are out to find out who Batwoman is, as well as Commissioner Gordon and Bullock, as well as the Penguin and Rupert Thorne, and then eventually Bane. And then we meet three new young ladies who enter Gotham around the same time. Well, they don't enter in theory, some of them were already there, but we meet them for the first time in this movie. So we meet Kathy Duquesne, who is the daughter of Carlton Duquesne, and she is a beautiful, young, rich, socialite type young lady. She is voiced by Kimberly Brooks, who I do not know, but she apparently is a very prolific voice actress.
Done a lot of voice work, yeah.
Yeah. And we meet Rocky, who again was voiced by Kelly Ripa. She is a brilliant scientist who has created this malleable, programmable metal, and she's making a deal with Wayne Enterprises. And then we meet Sonia, who is Detective Bullock's new partner. She is voiced by Elisa Gabrielli. And so she is Bullock's new partner. And so we meet these three young women. And so now we also have our suspects, essentially, of who could be Batwoman. So it's funny, the first time I ever watched it, as soon as we meet Kathy Duquesne first, I went, oh, well, I guess we know who Batwoman is. And then, like, in the next scene, we meet Rocky. And I went, oh. And then in the next scene, we meet Sonia. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. You're introducing a bunch of women who are around the right build and age. And now we have suspects. Got it. So when I revisited this a few years ago, I had forgotten
who
Batwoman was. Yeah, I had forgotten. And then once I got to it, I was like, oh, yeah, now I remember. But one thing I love is that the three suspects, they all are voiced by different actors. Mm-hmm. And then Batwoman is voiced by a fourth actor, Kira Sedgwick. So that way, it can still be anyone.
Yeah. Even by IMDb, like it doesn't give anything away.
Yeah. So I think that was cool, because they gave Batwoman her own voice, so that way it's not a giveaway as far as the identity of who it is. One thing I will say I thought was pretty cool was that because this movie was a couple years after the show, Robin grew up by a couple of years. Just barely, but he did. Like, if you watch the end of the new Batman Adventures, he's still very much a little kid, maybe 11. And in this, he feels like he's like 13. Like, it felt like he's just a little bigger and a little older than he was when we left him in the series. So some time has passed.
Is he voiced by a different actor as well?
I think so. In this, he's voiced by Eli Marienthal.
Because I thought he sounded just a little bit older as well.
And he also voiced Hogarth in The Iron Giant. That's interesting.
Huh.
But yeah, I don't think he did. No, he did not do Robin in the new Batman Adventures.
Interesting.
So yeah, so he took it over. Interesting. So anyway, I thought it was cool that Robin was in it, and I liked that he had grown up just a little bit. So anyway, it's a great movie. Check it out, especially if you're a Batman fan, if you love Batman the Animated Series. But we're gonna start talking spoilers, and so this is a mystery, so it can be spoiled for you. And if you don't want to get spoiled, you're gonna want to watch the movie. It's a short one. It's real quick.
Honestly, it is one of those things. If you haven't seen it and you are listening to this, seriously, I would urge you to watch it before continuing on, because the mystery for an animated movie that's 17 something years old now, whatever it is, like, it's done really well. And if you go in not knowing who Batwoman is, it is actually quite a surprise. So yeah, I'd really recommend, if you haven't seen it, stop and come back, because you won't regret it. Yeah,
it's fun to discover the solution with Batman. And so yeah, that's the fun of most mysteries. And so if you want to remain unspoiled, pause now, check out the movie. And again, it's a pretty quick watch. And as you said, it's on DC Universe. So as long as you're in the States and you have DC Universe, it's really easy to have access to. All right. You've been warned. We're going to speak freely. Okay?
All right. We over the wall?
Okay. I think we're over the wall. I think so.
Last chance. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going straight to the end. I can't believe that they played that song again over the end credits.
I loved that it came back.
Not only can I believe it, I was grateful for it.
Same.
And speaking of music, I like how at the beginning they had definite cues from the Mask of the Phantasm music in there.
Yeah.
That warmed my heart because I adore that soundtrack.
Uh-huh.
I love the opening credit sequence to this movie.
I love the opening
It's
credits
really
sequence.
cool.
The musical choice for the opening credits is a little strange. It's like a 40s noir detective music, which
Yes,
I guess
it is
goes with the theme that they're going, but it was still kind of a strange choice for a Batman movie to me.
It's like a sultrier version of the Batman the Animated Series theme.
Well, I mean, talk about sultry. Every time Batwoman comes on screen, we get that saxophone playing. So
Yeah, exactly. So, but I like that it's like the credits are intercut with just really cool shots of Batman looking cool.
Can I bring something up too? Now, I don't know. Ever since I first saw this in 2004, so obviously, it came out in 2003. So that time period, you think about who was popular at the time and that sort of stuff. Please tell me I'm not the only one who clearly thinks that Kathy Duquesne is meant to be Halle Berry.
Oh, I thought so.
Thank you.
I absolutely thought that.
Never even crossed my mind, honestly.
Yeah, she's
Yep, she
totally
looks exactly
Halle
like her.
Berry.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I thought the same.
I do know one thing. For an animated film, there's an awful lot of butt shots in this thing.
Well, straight to video. And it's PG, so...
Oh, risque.
Yeah, so a little risque.
You know what's funny is going back and watching some of those PG movies from the early 80s that actually had nudity and all that kind of stuff in it.
I know.
Like Teen Wolf, I'm pretty sure was rated PG.
I don't remember nudity in Teen Wolf.
The girl in the dressing room with him, the blonde.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she pretty much totally takes off her shirt and gets on his lap. It's been years since I've seen it, but that's how my brain remembers it anyway.
I may have to revisit it.
And my brain doesn't forget boobs often.
I feel like you don't actually see it. I think that, yes, that happens, but I don't think you see it.
Okay, maybe
I think it's like from the back or something.
I'm having that Nelson Mandela effect then.
It could be.
My friend James and I have always said that's the mark of an 80s movie. Like, it didn't matter what the rating was, there was always going to be some sort of boob in there.
Exactly. I remember distinctly in 16 Candles, there is like a gratuitous boob shot of the girl in the shower.
Yep.
I distinctly remember that, but in Teen Wolf, I don't think we actually got to see them.
I remember the first time I saw the first Vacation movie, is Beverly D'Angelo's just got him out in the shower. I was like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was rated R, wasn't it? I'm almost sure.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, but R's a different thing over there compared to here.
Oh, and the German girl in European Vacation?
Yes.
Also rated R.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a...
Anyway.
The first one that
this
didn't have
podcast
R
just
was-
became something else.
Yeah. Anyway.
They're even in Big. And that's classed as a family movie.
Look, I know for a fact Big is rated R.
Really?
No, I don't think that's true.
It's classed as like a family kids movie over here.
I'm pretty sure it's like PG or PG-13. I was just being silly.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, there's no way it's R. It's PG. All right. Anyway, back to Mystery of the Batwoman.
So I remember when we talked about The Killing Joke, the animated movie.
Yes.
And with the Bruce and Barbara thing, and I said there was precedence for it.
Yes.
This is the movie I was talking about, and so funnily enough, it comes back around in the Batman Beyond episode we're going to be talking about after this as well.
Yes.
So there is precedent for Bruce and Barbara to have had a romantic relationship.
Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned it because I thought the same exact thing where I was like, what are the odds that the week we watch this, that the episode of Batman Beyond has the same...
Yeah, they reference it.
Yeah, same reference. That's crazy. So, yeah, it is weird that, like, that is true, which is, I think, why Bruce Timm didn't think it was a big deal to do it in The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
And for some reason, though, in this, I don't know. I mean, we asked Jamie, but it didn't really bother me.
Well, I mean, there's no gratuitous sex scene.
Yes, because it was still like a little unclear. It was obvious she had a crush on him, but it was unclear if like it was reciprocated. And I went, okay, like I think it was left vague enough that it didn't bother me, as opposed to where Killing Joke, it just felt forced.
Well, they had that rating where they could do it, but
yeah,
I didn't like it.
So yeah.
I don't like pursuing that angle of those two having had a thing. And I know this indicates it. Obviously, the Killing Joke movie doesn't even indicate it. It goes straight through with it. And then, as we're going to discuss here in a little while, the Batman Beyond also indicates that there was a thing between them. And I'm sorry, if that's okay with you and that works in your head canon, fine. For me, I freaking hate it, and it should never, ever, 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 ever have happened. Ever. Did I say ever? Because ever. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah. I don't love it. If I were writing a Batman story, I would never make it a thing. But again, the way it was handled here bothered me less. It was like, okay, as opposed to Killing Joke, where I really didn't like it. But yeah, it's so interesting that did come back up here.
Yeah.
And again, because I don't know this one as well as others, when we got that little phone call with Barbara, I thought that was cool. That was like a nice little surprise. For some reason, I did think there would be more of her instead of it just being a cameo.
I was a little sad that there never was more of her. Like, I half expected her to come in and save the day at the end, honestly.
Yeah, I thought we would see her again, but I think it was more like they're like, well, we're doing a Batwoman thing. We have to at least go, well, where's Batgirl? Mm-hmm. And that was the point of that scene of like, oh, this is where Barbara is. This is why she's not around. This is why Batwoman and Batgirl have nothing to do with each other, just so that way you don't ask the question.
Because, I mean, it adds nothing to the story. Because if they are romantically linked, I mean, then he, goes after Kathy and actually has feelings for her.
Well, and that's just it. That's why I'm like, well, I don't think it's reciprocated, because I always think it makes sense to me that Barbara would have a crush on Bruce. That makes perfect sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't feel like Bruce would reciprocate it. And that's how it's played in this, and that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Because you're right, Bruce takes an interest in Kathy, and then they sort of have a little thing. And that I actually liked in this movie. I thought that was interesting. I didn't really expect that. So yeah, that's why I think it's, it's all right.
I did like the phone conversation they had. Tim's just like, she misses you. And then doesn't he at one point say something like, don't bring me into this? Like,
yes, yeah, because Bruce is like, well, I'll be happy to see you.
Yeah, that's right.
And Tim's like, don't bring me into this. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. And I also loved the moment where Bruce is, on his high horse saying about, you can't have vigilantism or whatever in the city, and Alfred's like that kid say on the street, like, I ain't touching that one.
Right, exactly. Well, and it was funny how I like this about the mystery aspect of this, and then I think they did it well in Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker as well, when they were like, you immediately, like, your brain goes to the easy answers, and they pretty much knock those out immediately. So as soon as the question comes up as who is Batwoman, Alfred says, oh, could it be one of your other adversaries with a new persona? Could it be Catwoman? And I love how he's like, nope, it's not. Even Selena Kyle has more regard for human life, which I thought was interesting. And he goes, this is definitely someone new. So that way it's telling us, like, no, it's not one of those answers. It's something else. And they did the same thing with Return of the Joker, where it was like, oh, suspended animation, a clone or whatever. And it's like, nope, it's not that. So it was cool because it really set up, no, we've got a new mystery. The answer's not as easy as that.
Yep.
And like I said, you meet Kathy Duquesne. Now, apparently they did want to name her Kathy Kane, which was the persona of the original Batwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to name her Kathy Kane, and DC was like, well, it's not Kathy Kane, and here she's not really a hero, and so it became Kathy Duquesne, and then Duquesne is spelled really weird
it is,
in order to kind of keep it away from that. But But yeah, again, like I said, you meet her and I go, oh, well, there's your Batwoman. And then when they introduce the other suspects, I'm like, oh, no, okay, that's cool. They're introducing us to a lot of different people of who it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And I like that. What I like is that the movie stays sort of on exactly the same page as the audience. Mm-hmm. So, like, as soon as we go, oh, it must be Kathy, Bruce goes, oh, it's Kathy.
Yep.
You know, like they follow along, or at least for me, like they followed my thought process along the way as well.
Yeah.
And then there's the great scene where he's like, nope, it's Kathy Duquesne. We figured it out. And then they end up going out. They go to the Iceberg Lounge. I love that they're at the Iceberg Lounge.
Yes.
And then she leaves. And then Batwoman shows up.
But she uses
and then
the metal. That's where Batwoman uses the what is it they call it, the metal G or something. She uses the metal that we saw earlier to go, oh, it's Roxy. And then you see Bruce discover at the same time because he sees Kathy, and he's like, you can see it on his face. He's like, oh shit, it's not her.
Well, that's exactly it. There's the great moment of he thinks he's already got it figured out. Batwoman is there, and then he looks over and he sees Kathy coming out of the bathroom, and he's like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
And then we've seen her use the metal. Mm-hmm. But then and then we immediately go, oh, it's Rocky, and the next scene he finds the medal and goes, it's Rocky. Mm-hmm. So like exactly, like we're never waiting for him to catch up with us. He's pretty much in lockstep with us as we're learning things, Rocky, which I think is good.
And then Rocky has a really flimsy alibi too. Like she really doesn't have anything to say where she was at the time. But then when they go back, well, where she was at that time for that instance where Batwoman shows up, and then it's a little bit later on, like not too long in terms of the movie, but where he goes over security footage of Wayne Enterprises from their first interaction with Batwoman, and then he's like, it's not her, because she was working at Wayne Enterprises the night that they first encountered her.
Right. So yeah, it's like just when we think we have it figured out, he thinks he's got it figured out, and then there's a new wrinkle introduced of like, oh, it can't be that.
It's really well done. And then, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I remember the first time I watched it, what's the cop's name?
Sonia.
I hadn't even considered her, but then they cut to that hard shot of her playing with the Batarang, and you think, oh, maybe it's her, but then she explains that she found the Batarang at the scene, and she talks about the story of, you know, what happened to her family and all the rest of it. And you don't really think it's her. Like, it's still kind of the other two of the main suspects. Well, that's how I took it anyway.
See, I always, like, again, you meet them, like, 3 scenes, you meet all 3 of them. I always took that as, all 3 have an equal shot of being Batwoman. Yeah, and as it turns out, that's true.
Yes.
But yeah, because you sort of start learning enough about each of them where you go, yeah, any of them, it could be. Because then, Sonia shares this tragic backstory about what happened to her family and how Batman saved her, and you see that she has a grudge against the Penguin.
That's right, because hers is Thorn.
No, hers is Thorn. Rocky's fiancé is the Penguin, right?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so you see she has a grudge against Thorn. You see that Rocky has a grudge against the Penguin. You see that Kathy's got a grudge against her own father. And you go, well, okay. And you can tell that there's no easy answer. Mm-hmm. And when the movie started and it was Thorn and the Penguin, I was like, well, and then I guess Carlton Duquesne. I was like, well, this is fine, but I'm like, I never like the Penguin as the main villain. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but like I like the Penguin, but I usually like him more as a supporting character. No, I feel like he's just not formidable enough on his own. And so I was like,
unless he's got a couple of kids in the basement.
Oh, well then, yeah, that's a different story completely. And then when he brings in Bane, I was like, ooh, Penguin and Bane, that's actually a really fun team up and not one that you've seen a lot of.
Yeah, because the Penguin, he's the kind of person who does need muscle.
Right. Well, he even says it, right? He says that to Duquesne. He's like, you're our muscle, start flexing.
Actually, that reminds me, I love that scene where is it Thorne or Duquesne? No, Duquesne's muscle guys when Batman's in one of the rooms after he's already kicked their ass previously, and the goon opens the door, sees Batman, and just closes the door, and the other goon goes, "Everything all right?" He's like, "Yep," and just walks away.
That was the comedic highlight of the entire film.
I love that scene.
I think that's the most iconic moment from this movie because I feel like I have seen it independent of this movie because it is an amazing, perfect Batman moment that you would think someone would have already thought of before that, of like some low-level goon running into Batman and being like, I don't get paid enough for this. This is not my problem.
I just love that, like, Batman just stares at him. Just be like, yeah, go on, say something. I dare ya.
Yeah, come on. I always think that in like Batman movies or any superhero movie when like he's taking on 10 goons, and if you're goon number 7 and you just saw 1 through 6 get their asses kicked, why do you think it's going to be different for you?
Yep.
Wouldn't you just go, okay, I got it. I'm just gonna peace out.
The smart ones would have that reaction. The thing of it is goons are never the smart ones.
I guess
if they were the smart ones, they wouldn't be goons. They'd be the people over the goons.
Well, Bob the Goon ran away in Batman '89. He was just like,
that's
nope.
True. That's true.
But look what happened to him. So.
Well, that's why you never take a job with the Joker. I don't care how good the health benefits are. Just don't do it. But yes, that moment is great. I do think it's funny how willing to run off with Kathy Bruce is at the beginning when he's trying to just follow her, and then immediately ends up getting embroiled and running from the her babysitters.
Yeah.
But then the two of them bond. And it's real sweet.
Yeah.
And I think, is it Alfred who says, oh, I think he likes this one, or I think
he's got feelings or something for this one.
He's got feelings for this one, yeah.
Seems to me almost everything Alfred said in
like
this movie was a
certainly pick
joke.
him.
Yeah, just Alfred always giving his little dry.
I know he's witty and all that, but I mean, in this movie, I don't know why, but after about the third one, I was just like, can we dial that back just a little bit? Maybe, I don't know.
In the animated series, for the most part, though, he was always pretty sassy.
I think what it was is they never really gave him a serious moment where he was helping out. He was like just there for the comic relief. And Alfred's a better character than that. I think that's kind of where I was hung up. It's not like we don't have tons of other Alfred stuff where he does get his moments and everything. It shouldn't bother me, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite part of this film. Like the first one or two were fine. Like the I ain't touching that one thing, that was kind of chuckle worthy, I guess. But like after about the second one, I was just like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I get the point. He wasn't super integral, but he was around. So yeah, he pretty much didn't have much to do other than to just throw in little one-liners here and there.
Yeah.
So, well, as we talked about, we got the 3 suspects. We find out they all have possible motive for being the Batwoman, and just when we think it's one of them, it turns out they have an alibi, and you go, well, then I guess it wasn't them. And much like what I was saying is, just as they start to hit on that, and in our brain we start going, well, it doesn't have to be just one.
Mm-hmm.
Then Bruce immediately is like, oh, let's find a connection between these women. And so, again, we're not waiting for him to figure it out. And it turns out it's not just one of them. It's all 3 of them.
But even then, like at the last second, they still give you that sort of red herring where Tim contacts Batman and is like, look, I got some bad news. There's absolutely no connection between these 2 women at all. And it just so happens that Bruce is, looking at the sketchbook and sees the photo of, again, I'm blanking on her name again, sorry, the cop.
Sonia.
Sonia. And he's like, yeah, there is. They just needed someone to introduce them. And, you know, because they just at that last second, they could sort of throw you off the scent again. And then Batman's like, no, hang on a minute. I've got this sorted.
Well, yeah, it's because at that point, they're sort of only hinting that it's only the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Before Bruce, and then we realize it's actually all three of them.
Yeah.
I'm both.
And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'll go.
I was just going to say I'm both proud of myself and a little bit disappointed. I figured it out. And
how early?
I'll tell you how I figured it out. And I'm not patting myself on the back that I'm some kind of a genius or anything like that. But years ago, I was watching this movie, a terrible, terrible, horrible, awful movie. And this movie pushed so hard. There were two suspects in the film. And it pushed you so hard to believe that it was the one that you literally had no other choice to believe than it was the other. And that's how it wound up turning out. So now, when a movie that's trying to set up a mystery with multiple suspects in that kind of a scenario, I'm very aware of the tropes and angles that they try to take to make one person look like the guilty party and the other one or ones may get kind of swept under the rug or something like that. So as I'm watching the film, I'm going, they're pushing the angle way too hard for it to be Duquesne. Rocky's too obvious. Like, I kept going back and forth between those two, and then I remembered the cop, and I was like, well, it can't really be the cop. They haven't focused a bit on her. And then I realized, going back through, I was like, at some point or another, each one of these people has been around while Batwoman is doing something. So it has to be all three of them or at least two of them doing it. And that's what it wound up being.
I remember the first time I watched it even thinking like, oh, if it's some other fourth party, then that is some cop-out BS.
And that would have been far worse than what I'm giving it grief for here. But,
yeah.
And, it's well done. And especially even for an animated movie, I mean, credit to it. But I don't know why sometimes... a lot of people, they really pride themselves when they figure things out. Usually I'm a little bit disappointed because then I'm not surprised when it happens, if that makes any sense at all.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, it's interesting. Like the solution of it being all three, I think is both. It's both. It's somehow the most satisfying solution, while also being a little bit of a letdown. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to describe it, but like it's like, oh, well, yeah, this is what makes the most sense, but I'm like, oh, but it also kind of like a cop out because it's like all three of our suspects were correct. So I don't know.
And I'm not begrudging the movie for it. It's well done enough. It's set up well enough, and I feel like the cop of any of the three was just a little bit shortchanged as far as like getting any background or getting any time spent with her to really get to know her, but that's being nitpicky. So
yeah, and especially for such a short movie that they do the best they can.
Right.
She had a good relationship with Bullock.
I guess if you want to call sitting in a stakeout car watching him eat a box of donuts.
I just liked the odd little back and forth they had. Like they seemed like they were, partners.
And the sexual tension
between Bullock and the donuts.
And I do think that prior to pitching her new magical metal to Wayne Enterprises, I think that prior to that, Rocky must have worked at Oscorp, which is how she got the Goblin gliders for the Batwoman.
I thought that at first watching it going, the Green Goblin mode of transportation. And then I got to thinking, why wouldn't one of the Bat people have something like that to fly around on?
No, I actually think it's a really cool, unique thing for this version of Batwoman. I do like it. There's just obviously the comparison to make.
This thing did come out at the height of the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, so...
You're right, a year and a half after Spider-Man. And right before Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
And I guess I should circle back and mention that I do really like the aesthetic design of Batwoman in this.
Yeah, she looks cool.
Yep, I agree.
And And I think that, yeah, like all the action animation is really good. I like when she first meets Batman and Robin says something like, "Welcome to Superhero Team Up," or something to that effect. Yeah, no, I think that's all really good. I think that the action is good. I think Batwoman looks good and moves well. And so, yeah, I like all that. So it all kind of culminates on this cruise ship with Penguin and Thorn and Bane, and then Batman and Batwoman, or all three Batwomen, and Robin sort of in the Bat boat off to the side, needing to jump in when possible.
Duquesne's there too.
And Duquesne too, of course. So that's sort of the big finale. I will say that the big finale I think is fine, but it felt like very similar to the finale of Sub-Zero, which felt very similar to the finale of Mask of Phantasm.
And each one sort of progressively watered down.
Yeah, like in Mask of the Phantasm, it's Batman, Phantasm, Joker fighting amongst the exploding remains of the World's Fair, and they've got to escape before it all explodes. And then in Sub-Zero, it's Batman and Mr. Freeze, and I think it's Barbara and Dick as well.
Yep.
Amongst this exploding oil rig.
And polar bears.
And then in this one, it's sort of just the same thing with the exploding cruise ship. I just feel like the animation team was like, oh, it can't be the end of the movie unless something is exploding all around them. Mm-hmm. So it was fine. I did like when Batman took on Bane, and he's like, this thing is going down in a minute, and Bane's like, that's all the time I'll need. I thought that was pretty cool. So I thought it was fine, the finale, but it just felt a little bit like we had seen it before.
No, you're 100% dead on.
And I like that the Batwomen get away with it. Like, they're exposed, but the DA, whoever that is at this point, because we don't ever actually meet or see the DA, they just say, oh, we're just glad the DA is looking the other way. So Sonya retires from the force, but Rocky's boyfriend gets out of prison, and Kathy is free to date Bruce Wayne. So they got away. I guess that even though Batwoman showed a disregard for human life, nothing too horrible ever happened, that everyone was able to just go, you gals, you plucky gals being Batwoman, don't you worry about it. You take care now.
I did think it was kind of funny / weird when, like, in the finale where Thorne's got that, like, I don't know, bazooka laser cannon thing, and like they're on the cruise ship, and he's just like shooting the absolute shit out of the cruise ship. Just like, dude, this, like, you still want to use this ship to like get the goods out of the country. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, Thorne. So yeah, it's sort of like a happy ending for all. Everyone's fine.
I do like the fact that we don't have to do like a fake death or something like that, especially since you'd have to try and pull it off with 3 different people in this one.
Yeah, I honestly, that was something I didn't remember quite how it ended. Like, I couldn't remember if they get arrested or if we think they quote unquote die, even though they obviously wouldn't have, or I couldn't remember. And then I was like, oh, never mind. They just let him go. We do get Bane's death.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a death that he can come back from, but yeah, I mean, he falls into the inferno.
As long as that mask don't come back with him.
He comes back bigger with just this like breathing apparatus on his face.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you feel in charge?
And then he talks really weird.
I like how this one they really lean into his Hispanic nature, because he calls people like amigo and stuff.
Vamonos when he's in the car.
Yeah. So, anyway,
I understand and appreciate the importance and relevance of his ethnic heritage and everything, but I got to tell you, when I read comics with Bane in them, it's Hardy's voice I'm hearing when I'm reading it now.
It was just that iconic.
Now all I can think about is Bane from the Harley Quinn animated series.
I like him. I keep waiting for him to come back.
Yeah.
But then that banger of the song does close us out again.
Oh, it does.
And we get the cool visual credits where
Yes.
you get the credits over the footage of each of the characters, which is pretty fun. So that is Mystery of the Batwoman. And Jamie and I, if you stay tuned at the end of Mystery of the Batwoman, there is a little bonus short called Chase Me. And it is no dialogue. It is only animation and music. And it is literally just a chase through Gotham with Batman chasing Catwoman. Like, it starts out with Bruce Wayne at a party. He sees that Catwoman has stolen some stuff, as she tends to do. He changes to Batman. He chases her through the city. Eventually, he chases her into the zoo. She unleashes a bunch of lions and tigers at him. He eventually corners her against the zoo fence. He kisses her. He handcuffs her to the fence, takes the stuff that she stole, and then the cops arrest her. So again, it's very light on story. It is literally just a chase, but the animation is really cool. The music is kind of neat. But yeah, it's like this interesting little bonus thing that's at the end. And Jamie watched it on DC Universe. He got it there. I watched my version on iTunes. I have it there. So I think you get it pretty much no matter where you watch it, but Brendan didn't have it. But Brendan, you downloaded it from some unscrupulous entity.
Well, yeah, I've had the DVD since 2004. So if this was like a bonus feature or something on it, I can't remember it. But yeah, I wanted to watch this because I was sort of traveling over the weekend. So I downloaded a copy of it and chucked it on my tablet. So I just had it sort of easy access to watch. But yeah, I can't recall this little, and I'm just trying to have a look online now actually to see if I can find the DVD information to see if it was a bonus feature. But I can't recall this at all. So I'll have to check it out when I go home.
It's cute. There's nothing, again, super deep about it. It's just a cool little piece of animation of Batman and Catwoman.
Oh, sounds up my alley.
I just kind of got the feeling that maybe the movie wasn't long enough, and so they tacked it on the end.
Well, it was close to 90 minutes with that short tacked on there, and I think the short is 5 to 7 minutes long.
So the movie is 1 hour and 15, and the short is 6.
Okay.
So with the two, it's 121.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know why else you put it there, but hey, it's a little bonus. And I do have the soundtrack to this movie. I bought it, I think, from La La Land Records, who does all the great DC stuff. And it even had the Chase Me track on there as well.
I
Bet you Never's on there, surely.
What's that?
I said, Bet you Never's on there, surely.
Oh.
I don't think it is, but now
Really?
I'm going to find out.
Is it just the score?
I'm going to check. I'm going to check.
Many, many, many years ago, when I first got into reading comics, G.I. Joe was one of my first loves in comics. And G.I. Joe number 21, a lot of people's ears just perked up when I said that because they know what I mean, gave me my first real appreciation for pure visual storytelling. I don't know if you guys are aware of G.I. Joe number 21, but basically it's known as the silent issue because all it is Destro has kidnapped Scarlet and has taken her to this castle, wherever it may be. It's been years since I've read it. And Snake Eyes goes in and gets her out of this castle, and he's fighting various ninjas and Storm Shadow and everything else in there. And it has a spectacular ending that I won't ruin just in case you one day get to it. But anyway, that book has, I don't believe, but maybe one word in the entire thing, if that. Like I say, it's probably been 20 years since I've read it, but I distinctly recall the book itself. So anyway, ever since then, I've always just kind of had a nice appreciation for the idea that you can tell a story without having people exchange dialogue. So I always kind of have a nice weak spot for things like this, even though the whole Batman-Catwoman relationship isn't really my bag. I appreciate what this did, and I think it was pretty well done given what they were working with.
I agree. Betcha Neva is not on the soundtrack.
Oh, that's some bullshit.
I feel like I would have known that, but because yeah, I'm like, I forgot about that song till I watched it. So yeah, it's not on here. Probably because it would have been like additional rights issues to get it. But anyway.
Which is weird because you'd think if they used it in the movie, Warner Brothers Records would have had access to the music to begin with, you know?
Yeah, but there's always additional paying of the artist when you get the rights. And if La La Land released the score, that means making a separate deal with Cherie, whoever the hell she is. Maybe they couldn't even find her. I don't know.
It's harsh, but it's true.
So anyway, that is Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, the third true original animated film that came from Batman the Animated Series. So why don't we give some closing thoughts and letter grades? Brendan.
Can't really add anything that I haven't already said. I genuinely enjoy this movie. I enjoyed it back in 2004. I dust it off and watch it every couple of years, and I always have a good time watching it, even though it's one of those things you can only sort of have the mystery once. Well, I could anyway. I remembered the twist. Yeah, I think it's a solid entry in the Batman the Animated Series mythos, universe, whatever. Yeah, I'd probably give this an A. Solid A.
Oh, all right. Jamie, what about you?
Enjoyable film. Some interesting new characters introduced. Some obviously familiar characters brought back. I think it's well done all around. I don't think it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen, but I think it's a quality film and it's worth watching. For me, I'm at a B+.
All right. Yeah, I'm with Jamie on this one. I think it's really good. Great animation, good time, fun mystery, great to revisit the world of Batman the Animated Series, and it does justice to all the characters within. It's not super deep, you know, there's not like a strong emotional core to the movie, but it's a good watch and a good time, so I'm also at a B+. Of the three Batman the Animated Series movies, this one's probably 3 out of 3, but that still doesn't mean it's not good.
Some pretty stout competition.
Oh, God, no. Yeah.
Exactly. So no, it's a really good time, and I also feel like it's one of the lesser seen ones. And so for the people out there who love Batman the Animated Series, you know, if you haven't gotten around to checking this out, couldn't be easier right now with DC Universe, and it is worth checking out. So an interesting spin on Batwoman before she became what she is now and had her own TV show. So, more animated Batman-y goodness, and that meant that we went back and watched, we returned to Batman Beyond, which we haven't done in a month or two, but we're staying committed, and so because we had time this week, we were able to go back and watch the next episode, and so without further ado, it is time for our next episode review of Batman Beyond. So for those of you who are watching along the last time, I think it was Jamie and I talked about Disappearing Inc., which is season 1, episode 11. And so now we're on season 1, episode 12, A Touch of Curaré. Curaré? Yeah. So in this one, we meet Barbara Gordon's husband. He is the DA. His name is Sam. He seems like a very nice man. And Barbara and Sam are having date night, and date night is rudely interrupted by a new villainous assassin who has entered Gotham. Her name is Curaré. She has blue skin and a white outfit and a white cape and one hell of an effective sword. And she's trying to hurt one of them, and we find out later that her target is not Commissioner Gordon, but it is the DA, Sam. He has a price on his head, and Curaré is after it. So, Terry intervenes, manages to save Barbara and Sam from Curaré, but now they've made a new enemy. So Bruce and Terry are trying to stop Curaré. They learn she is from the secret society of assassins. At the same time, Barbara shows up in the Batcave knowing what we all assumed, which is she already knows who this new Batman is. But it turns out Terry did not know who she was until this episode. So he puts together, he goes, oh my God, you were Batgirl. And so she's like, listen, thanks for the help, kid, but stay out of police business. I'm not my dad. Stay away. But he's Batman. He's not going to stay away. So Curaré continues trying to take out Sam. Commissioner Gordon and the Gotham PD, they have this really intricate plan of trying to trick Curaré into a trap. Batman, Terry McGinnis, intervenes again, kind of screws things up a little bit, and so Curaré gets away. There's a great scene where Terry and Barbara actually sit down at a diner, and Barbara shares a little bit about her past with Bruce with Terry, so Terry starts to understand that relationship a little bit. And so we find out that if Curaré fails to assassinate her mark, she becomes the mark. And so in the end, they do manage to save Sam from her. Barbara and Terry manage to take her down together. She gets arrested. And so Sam is able to put away the criminal that was the criminal who was trying to get him killed. I don't know the details. They didn't go into the details of that. Whatever. He manages to get the bad guy put away. And Curaré is now on the run from this League of Assassins because she failed. There was also a mystery introduced where no one had seen her face before. And there's a moment halfway through where Terry gets her hood off and he sees her face and he reacts, but we don't see it and we don't see what the deal is. So I don't know if they ever return to that throughout the series, but I kind of hope they do because I'm curious as to what they're setting up there. But that is a Touch of Curaré. So, Brendan,
Yes.
Thoughts on this episode?
I liked it with a little asterisk. The villain, I actually really enjoyed the story they were telling. I really liked getting sort of the history with Bruce and Barbara, particularly after just watching Mystery of the Batwoman. Like I said before, that was quite serendipitous that this worked out that we watched this episode today as well. The villain did nothing for me. I think I've said this before. One of my biggest problems with this show is the Rogues Gallery. It just is a really poor effort. There was nothing there that had me interested in Curaré at all. The blue skin, okay, that's weird. I got over the sword thing really quickly, and like you said, there was this whole thing with her identity, and they you got to see Terry react to it, but we have no idea what the hell he saw. And that's sort of what I was waiting for at the end when they threw her on the ground. Okay, now it's time for the unmasking. There's going to be some reason for me to give a shit about this character because she's going to be linked to something or other, but she just wasn't. It just kind of, she was taken into custody, she escaped, and it looked like she got caught. So I mean, that let it down for me. But overall, like I said, the story that they were telling and what else they were showing was good. I actually quite enjoyed it, but the villain just held it back for me.
All right, Jamie.
I really like the design of Curaré. I like the action that was shown with Curaré, but Brendan's right. There's no character at all to this character. I mean, there's no personality. There's no anything. I mean, the action beats are fine. The design is cool. All that stuff. The sword thing never bothered me. In fact, I kept thinking to myself, the Justice League versus the Fatal Five must have borrowed from this or vice versa, one way or the other. Because, the sharpened down to a molecule or whatever it was Bruce said. I kept thinking to myself, I wonder if that would cut a Green Lantern ring top off. I'll just get right to it. I freaking hate, and you've all heard me say it before, and you're going to keep hearing me say it as long as it's in my face. Hate the relationship thing between Barbara and Bruce. And in this one, especially since they indicated she didn't leave Dick, but she didn't go with Dick because of Bruce? No. No, I can't. I just cannot.
I actually have a question about that. Because Terry's sort of probing, he goes, oh, when she said that she stayed with Bruce, and he goes, as partners, and she sort of looks at him, and then Terry said, as girlfriend, and then she looks at him, he goes, oh. So what is she actually insinuating there? Because, I mean, girlfriend, to me, that would obviously insinuate they were together, like they were lovers. Did you take that as anything else other than the fact that, like, what was the next step after girlfriend? Because surely they weren't married.
No,
I don't think that was it. I think that they were just leaving it somewhat vague. Like, I feel like it was the equivalent of a Facebook, it's complicated. Okay. Like they were more than partners, maybe girlfriend, but like it sounds like it was a complicated thing and they didn't want to go into it, so they just sort of left it intentionally vague and had her say nothing.
Okay. Because it progressed from partners to girlfriend, and then it progressed that extra step. I'm like, well, what else is there? Like, boyfriend and girlfriend, to me, that means obviously they're romantically involved. So, like, what's the next step?
Oh, no, I don't think there was a next step. I think it was literally, he says girlfriend, and she doesn't answer, and he's just like, oh. Like,
okay.
As in, like, okay, I'm not getting anything else.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything else from you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, as much as I don't care for that particular relationship angle, the scene of Barbara being in the Batcave was the highlight of the episode for me.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And kind of getting to see her be Batgirl again to a degree, like the way she handles the batarangs and stuff at the end.
Yeah, that was a nice throwback there. So, I mean, it's got problems. There's not a lot of development here, but there are some really good moments in it.
Well, Debbie Downers, I think this is one of the best episodes we've gotten of the show. I freaking loved it. So
Okay, then.
I thought it was awesome. I loved Curaré. I thought she looked awesome. I thought she was cool as hell. Did we get a lot of character from her? No, but I thought there were a lot of places we could go with her in the future, and I hope they do, because I'm interested. But she was a cool, formidable villain. I dug her. I dug her design. I liked the sword. I thought she was awesome. I was kind of impressed that Terry could even hold his own, because it seems like she could kind of kick his ass. I thought it was a perfect blend of old and new, like being able to like go backwards and tell us a little bit more about what happened with Barbara and Bruce. I think that's all really great stuff, and I loved seeing that. I loved Barbara showing up in the Batcave, the nods to Batgirl, a little bit about their past relationship and how they went separate ways. I liked that Terry was like, why do you hate him? And she's like, I don't hate him. I just hate what he's become. Which I like that, because guess what? I hate what Bruce has become in Batman Beyond. That's one of my issues with the show. I hate that he's this bitter, old, alone guy. I want better for Bruce, and I like that Barbara wants better for Bruce. I like that. And then introducing a new character that I still thought was really neat and formidable in her own right, that gave you story possibilities for the future. I liked this episode. I thought it was great. And then, yes, in the end, in the big finale, Terry's taking on Curaré, but I love that Barbara steps in with the Batarang, and at the end when Terry goes, she still throws a mean Batarang. Like, that was awesome.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I agree.
I dug it.
One other thing that really kind of irked me about this episode was the peril of Terry hanging over that grinding thing, whatever it was, down there on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching him dangle
brutal,
over
like
that
abattoir ever.
I was watching him dangle over that, and all I could think to myself was, he could fly the whole time.
Oh.
So am I supposed to actually believe that he's in peril, being able to or being in a situation hanging over this? So that was just, it was irksome. Nothing more. I mean, it's not like anything I'm going to choke the episode over or anything, but.
Well, but he can't fly like Superman. He's hanging upside down. The jets are on the bottom of his feet.
He had no problem turning them on when it came time to push her up against that wall across the room.
Yeah, once he wasn't hanging from his feet.
He's got wings. He's got propulsion. He can fly. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I liked that they were both tied up and still fighting. I like that she was essentially tied up and captured and still was fighting. And like
the fights were
she
cool.
just
Yeah. Other than Barbara being in the cave, the fights between Batman and Curaré were really enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
And again,
well, and I don't
dislike Curaré at all. I just would have liked to have seen more from her. Like Brendan said, like the mask comes off and Terry gets the peek and he has that look on his face. It's like, oh, what did he see? And then we don't get to see it or any even a verbal retelling of what he saw. So now I'm with you. I hope she comes back so that we get further development there. But I don't know.
See,
if this was a movie and they set that up and didn't pay it off, then that would be bullshit. That would be like one of your main characters at the beginning of a movie being like, I gotta tell you something, and then halfway being like, I gotta tell you something, and the movie ends and they never tell them. That would be ridiculous. No movie would ever do that.
I see what you did
But
there.
in this case, it's a television show. And so as long, like they were setting up mysteries that they could then plumb for more episodes later, like the Big Secret Society. Like I loved the meeting with the Big Secret Society. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're doing yet. But hey, as long as you go back to them, that's cool. Like that's a cool idea that you can use later.
I just felt too, I mean, I don't know if I've missed anything or if there's something in the future that comes up on this show. No pun intended. But it's just kind of like, guys, you've got the League of Assassins right there. Like, it's part of Batman canon. Ra's al Ghul had quite a significant role in Batman the Animated Series. Like, why is it this new society that's just, like, literally made up for the sake of this show? Like, why wasn't there a link to that sort of thing that already exists in Batman's world?
Or better yet, knowing who Ra's al Ghul's replacement is. It breaks my heart that that's never going to come to fruition on the show, because reading that in the comics was absolutely the highlight of that particular series that I read.
But it's just like, you know, it's a League of Assassins that has, you know, a way to essentially be immortal, and then here's this assassin villain chasing people around. It just seemed silly to me as to like not have some sort of tie back to that. That kind of bugged me as well. But again, I don't like the original villains in this show. I've said that from the get-go, and so far there hasn't really been anything that's made me think otherwise. But if there'd been some way of tying Curaré into what's come before with Ra's, or you know, just not even him directly, but the League of Assassins, and we did get that little bit of a payoff in there, I'd probably like this episode. Oh, look, again, I didn't hate the episode, but the thing that held it back for me wouldn't be an issue anymore.
I did wonder if they were going to make that connection, because just the name, like in this one, what did they call it? Like the Society of Assassins?
Yeah,
Secret,
like it's
something
weird.
Like that. So I did wonder if they were going to make that connection, and I did think it was odd that they didn't. But I will also say, stay tuned, because yes, the League of Assassins is not gone.
Oh, good. Okay.
I just made the assumption that that's what the League of Assassins morphed into. I didn't even think anything about it. And I'll give Curaré this.
Maybe that connection does happen later. I don't know, because I can't remember if we ever see Curaré again. But yeah, anyway, sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
I was just going to say Curaré is a distant second behind Ink for my favorite villain in the series so far.
No, I agree.
Everything behind Curaré is even further behind her than she is behind Ink. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. If in the next 2 seasons she comes back and we get more from her and they take advantage of what they set up in this one, I will be very happy. If they leave this hanging, then I'll be like, yeah, what a waste.
Yeah, I'll co-sign that.
And if that happens retroactively, it may change my grade on this episode.
We shall see. All right, letter grade. Brendan.
B. Jamie.
I feel like I liked it more than he did, but I also was going to say B-, so I guess I'll say B.
I'm an A. I like this one.
Okay.
So, an A and 2 Bs for A Touch of Curaré. And then we're moving on to next, the season 1 finale, which is Ascension. So we'll have already done the first season. Look at us. Go us. Yay. So
yeah,
it could have been even further, but somebody keeps dragging their feet, which is all of us.
I was like, who are you talking about? 'Cause I think we can all be guilty of that.
Could be
depending
any one
on
of
the
us,
week.
yeah. We're all Batwomen.
It's the three of us. All right. Well, there you go. That is the next episode of Batman Beyond. Now, let's check in with you fine folks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, what do we got here? This email is from Kyle Reffner. It says, hey guys, quick and short. With Henry Cavill's newfound popularity in The Witcher, do you think the DC and WB will start looking at his Superman with renewed interest? Happy holidays, Bat Dudes. Kyle. Thanks for the message, Kyle. What say you, Jamie?
No.
Brendan?
I'd love them to, but nope.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just means that Henry got another cool, viable franchise, and that's great for his career, but I don't think it affects Superman in any way.
I mean, the same thing happened last year with, well, not sorry, 2 years ago now, with Mission Impossible. And
yeah,
it didn't change shit, so.
True. All right, next message is from Bishop Pearson. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, Happy New Year. Do you know why Joel Schumacher wanted to bring back Jack Nicholson as the Joker in Batman Unchained? Also, how would Jack Nicholson's hallucination scene have looked in Batman Unchained? Thanks for the message, Bishop. I think the answer to why is pretty simple, is like, he knew that was a way to get renewed interest in the Bat franchise, was to bring back the fan favorite villain in some way. Would be like a huge coup and would build buzz, and it would help kind of rebound the series after Batman and Robin. So I think that's why. And probably who wouldn't want to work with Jack Nicholson? So I think all that factors in. As for how would the hallucination would have been, what do you think, Jamie?
Colorful.
Brendan?
Yeah, it would have been cool fan service, I guess, and a way to sort of link all the movies together, because you had 3 actors playing the one character. But yeah, I don't know. It would have been odd, I think. I'm glad it didn't happen.
It would have been interesting, but you're right. It would have been very odd, because by that point, if you look at Batman 89 and Batman and Robin, yes, technically they're part of the same franchise, but they don't feel like it at all.
Oh, God, no.
And so, yeah, for the 5th one, for that Joker to show up in the 5th one, it just would have been like, it just didn't seem to fit, you know? And also, based on Schumacher's approach with all of the Bat villains he touched, he would have looked at Jack Nicholson's Joker and go, too small, go bigger, go bigger. Next message is from Rody Shement. It says, hey guys, I'm with you. I think that Henry Cavill is unfortunately out as Superman. However, until he's recast, there's a sliver of hope. If WB surprised us and re-signs Cavill, they could potentially do another Justice League movie with the principal cast in a few years with one major omission. In that scenario, what would be your choice to handle the Batman situation? Do they incorporate Pattinson, recast him with someone more Affleck-esque like John Hamm, use a different character like Dick Grayson or Terry McGinnis, or just leave out Batman altogether? Thanks and Happy New Year. Interesting question, Rhodey. Thank you for it. So let's just say, just for the sake of argument, that they're going to do another Justice League movie with everyone except Ben Affleck. How do you handle Batman? Jamie?
I mean, in a perfect world where Justice League was the massive success that we all hoped and thought it would be, I think, obviously Ben probably wouldn't have left at that point, but even if he had for some other extenuating circumstance, I think just recasting him with somebody like John Hamm would have been the best approach. It's a tough question to answer, because, I mean, the only way that this happens is if Justice League was a success. But if Justice League was a success, we didn't really lose anything. We're just on to the day when Justice League 2 goes into pre-production or whatever. You know, it's kind of a weird scenario.
All right, Brendan, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I honestly don't know. I don't think you can have a Justice League movie without a presence of a Batman character, but we've had similar questions before, and it really is one of those things like, I don't know how Warner Brothers are going to move forward if, you know, these other franchises continue to be successful. Your Wonder Womans, your Aquamans, I mean, Shazam is still set in that universe as well. And then, you know, your two quote-unquote heaviest hitters of the DC universe are the two actors that look like Affleck definitely isn't coming back, and you're already getting another reboot of that character in another year. And Cavill, for all intents and purposes, isn't coming back. I mean, I don't know how you do that. It's a bit of a, even though these movies on their own now are successful, or, you know, every movie that's come out post Justice League has been successful, and even pre with Wonder Woman and everything, but how you keep them connected now, I don't even know if you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like this is one of those where, like, the simplest answer is the right answer, which is yes. If you were literally in this situation where you get everyone except Affleck, then yeah, you just recast him. You just find someone similar age range that steps in and essentially plays the Ben Affleck version. You know, worked for Hulk with the Avengers. So I think that's the easiest way to do it. I wouldn't try to incorporate Robert Pattinson. I would just, you know, let that be its own thing. So,
like I said, I think the smartest thing they can do moving forward in terms of a cinematic universe, just focus on the Batman universe. Like, make a world with multiple Bat characters that we've always wanted to see on the big screen, and make that your cinematic universe, and just let the other movies live in their own worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm greedy. I want both.
Yeah, I do too. All right, next message is from Tommy Sanders. It says, "Hey, Bat family, Happy New Year. Do you think Joe Pesci would have been great as the Penguin in Batman Returns? Speaking of Joe Pesci, how different would Home Alone have been if Robert De Niro had played Harry and Al Pacino had played Marv?"
So Home Alone is the topic of the week now, huh?
So it would have had a G rating, that's for sure.
I like the idea of an R-rated Home Alone with De Niro and Pacino.
I can't get an image out of my head of those two curb stomping Kevin like they did Billy Bats and Goodfellas now. Thank you for that.
See?
I needed that in my life, and I didn't even know.
I would watch it.
That poor son of a bitch never would have made it to New York, let's put it that way.
What do you think? Joe Pesci is the Penguin way back in the day.
Well, his surname is Fish.
Kid's got a point. I think that would have been interesting. But I don't know if Pesci would have done that Penguin as well as DeVito did, if that makes any sense. Like, I can see Pesci doing more of a traditional type Penguin role versus that monstrous, hideous Penguin that was in that movie as we got. Mm-hmm. So yes and no. Like, it's kind of a weird thing there.
If Penguin had have been in the comics, you know, back then, the mob boss Penguin that he became, you know, the 10 or so years after Batman Returns came out, and that's how he was known back in the late 80s, early 90s, and they wanted to translate mob boss Penguin onto the big screen, holy shit, like, Pesci would have been brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Now I can't get the image out of my head of Joe Pesci walking through the Iceberg Lounge, just wholesale clubbing people with champagne bottles like he did in the What's So Effing Funny About Me sequence.
Is he, you know, trying to, you know, doing his version of the French flipper trick?
I agree with you both. Sounds good. All right, next message is from our pal Steven Marshall. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan, Happy New Year's. I was wondering, even though we've had a lot of Dark Knight Returns-esque content in live action, plus an animated adaptation, would you like to see a live-action version of the book? I would myself. I actually think the perfect person to direct would be Zack Snyder, even though that's highly unlikely, but I think he's much more suited to adaptations rather than movies based off of his own ideas. Second, who would you rather come back for one more go as Batman? Burton and Keaton or Nolan and Bale? Lastly, you were asked to cast a Superman reboot on the last episode. The actor who looks like Henry Cavill is David Corenswet. I can vouch, too, that he has a bunch of charisma and is a good actor. He's my number one choice to take over should Henry not return. He even recently commented on playing Superman, saying, it came to my attention before the internet got a hold of me, but my pie-in-the-sky ambition is definitely to play Superman. I'd love to see somebody do an upbeat throwback take on Superman. I love the Henry Cavill dark and gritty take, but I'd love to see the next one be very bright and optimistic. I imagine he's probably already on a list of potential actors for the role. Anyway, sorry for the long email. Thanks, guys. Steven. All right, first question. A straight-up adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. Jamie.
Of course I want to see that. I think we're at minimum like 2 decades away from even being a considered possibility. And I mean, if they were going to do it like now, my ideal director to do it just because of his visual prowess and his mastery of the technique of directing a film would be Denis Villeneuve.
All right. Brendan, thoughts?
I mean, Zack Snyder kind of already did it. Like, there was so much of The Dark Knight Returns in BVS. Like, some of it was directly lifted from the comic. I mean, yeah, if he were to expand that and literally just do the comic, then, yeah, it would have been cool. And Affleck would have been sweet in the role. In terms of who I'd want to see return for one more movie... I think it's a little bit hard with Burton and Keaton now. Like, Keaton would either have to be like a Batman Beyond type scenario or potentially Dark Knight Returns. But even then, I don't know. I never really loved the way that the Dark Knight trilogy ended. So I'm gonna say Nolan and Bale, just for the fact that I'd like to see him stick the landing a little better.
I agree with you guys about Dark Knight Returns. I think that, yes, like a straight up film adaptation would be really great, but to your point, so much was mined for BVS and even for The Dark Knight Rises that
True.
It just feels like it couldn't happen right now, because I feel like we did just see a bunch of it. And so it would be a while before that happened. So, and then, yeah, like obviously my nostalgic choice to come back would be Burton and Keaton, but you're right. They're, I mean, Burton, he can be any age and direct a new movie, but Keaton is not in Batman shape anymore. So it would have to be some sort of older Batman story, which is a little tougher to do. So I get that. Jamie, thoughts on that?
I mean, my heart tells me I'd rather see Nolan and Bale because I love those movies so much. And obviously The Middle Chapter, as we all know, is my favorite movie of all time. But I also feel like that story's been told, and Burton and Keaton are a little bit more on the unfinished business side of it. So my brain tells me heart goes one way, brain goes the other, I guess is the quick way to sum it up.
No, that makes sense.
If I could have any Batman come back in a movie, I'd want to have Affleck directed by Affleck.
I mean, I'd watch that.
Yeah. All right. Well, and then so this guy David Corenswet, I don't know who the hell he is, and I'm looking him up now. And even his credits, I haven't heard of any of this. The Politician, I don't know what that is. The Tap, I don't know what that is. Affair of State, I don't know what that is. So, sure. He certainly looks kind of like Henry Cavill, but I don't think that is the most important thing when casting a new Superman. I feel like someone saw a picture of this guy and was like, hey, looks like Henry Cavill. And then Twitter's like, he should be Superman. And I'm like,
I still
why?
think Matt Bomer looks more like Henry Cavill than this guy does.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That one, I've been proven wrong before, but that one I feel like is only Twitter talking about this guy. I don't think anyone at Warner Brothers just talking about this guy. It's not even like he's on this. It's not like he's just like had some breakout role or something where all of a sudden he did something amazing in a movie or TV show and everyone went, oh wow, this is one to watch. Like never even heard his name until Twitter decided he should be Superman.
I mean, to be fair, Cavill was like that too, though. Immortals was his big movie before Man of Steel, so.
Well, at least Cavill had, oh my God, what the hell show was it?
The Tudors.
Yes, The Tudors. At least he had The Tudors, which was an acclaimed television show that you could point to.
I was unaware of that. So.
Yeah.
I take back my witty analogy there.
It was The Tudors and Stardust were kind of the things that got people talking.
Stardust. I forgot completely about that movie.
He was in Stardust?
Yeah.
Yeah, for like 15 seconds.
I don't remember.
Okay, he was in it longer than 15 seconds, but he's not in it much.
He's not in
I
it
only
much,
saw it once, but
there's literally a scene where Daredevil and Superman fight.
Oh wow. I do remember going to see that movie and there was like the prequel, or not the prequel, but there was like the prelude, and it had Ben Barnes, and then the rest of the movie had Charlie Cox, and I was like, I like the guy at the beginning better. They should have cast him as the main character. I liked Ben Barnes better than I liked Charlie Cox in that movie.
I think they should let Idris Elba be Superman, but he already played Black Superman this year, so it's probably out of the question.
Yeah.
He did?
Hobbs and Shaw.
I haven't seen it.
He calls himself Black Superman in the movie.
Okay.
He is Black Superman.
He is Black. He's black. He's amazing. I love that guy.
I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie, and I'm hoping to make it stay that way.
Okay.
You're only cheating yourself.
That's fine.
It's like any other franchise. There's good ones, there's bad ones, and pretty much everything in between.
All right. This next message is from Hugh Morris. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, and maybe Rebel Wilson.
Ouch.
What?
Weird. He said, I love the show. Do you think it's possible for Matt Reeves to add a Joker to his movie and it being a complete surprise? Also, who would you cast? Maybe Michael Fassbender or Freddie Highmore? And then here's a weird thought. And he said, I don't think this is a spoiler. It says, in Rise of Skywalker, it seems like no one took a shower. They went from planet to planet in the same clothes without ever changing. LOL. I hope all is well. Happy New Year. Thanks, Hugh. Well, we rarely see anyone shower in movies. I'm not even going.
So Beverly D'Angelo in Vacation.
I know. That's
Ben
true.
Affleck in the BVS Ultimate Edition.
Mm-hmm. Or Ben Affleck in Gone Girl.
Yeah.
All right. Could Matt Reeves add a Joker, and who should play him? Jamie.
Yes. Not likely. No idea.
That's my answer too. Yes, probably not. I don't know yet. Brendan, any thoughts?
I've got a yes, probably not, and an actor I think could do it.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
think he will, but
Idris Elba.
I think he'd be kind of cool in the role. Rami Malek.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think he's a bit, I mean, obviously there's just one best actor, like there's Buzz, and he's going to be the villain in the new Bond movie and stuff, which is awesome, but I don't know, he's just sort of got that weird look and everything, and I reckon he'd be able to do it.
No, I could see that. That works for me. Yeah, I haven't thought of who a new Joker should be.
And he's a big actor who hasn't got a franchise yet.
Yeah, that's true. Is he doing the new Mission Impossible?
No, he's the villain in the new Bond movie.
Oh, new Bond.
But I mean, that's a villain.
One of those.
That's a villain role.
That's a one time. Yeah,
it's a one-time thing.
Right.
It's not a franchise. It's not a recurring role. So.
Yeah. No, I could dig that. That'd be cool. I would have to think about who else could do it. I still want Jared Leto to get another crack at it. So, All right, one last one. This is from Condor Zalander. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family, Happy New Year. What are your thoughts on The Dark Knight Rises being voted the best movie of the decade?" So I saw something about this, and I can't remember who voted it that.
Yeah,
it could have been like Fandango or Variety, something like that.
I saw a few outlets share this story the other day.
So yeah, like I kind of saw it, but I don't know who voted it that way. But anyway, what are your thoughts on it?
Listen, I love that movie, but I recognize flaws, and to the best of my recollection, I didn't even have that marked as the best movie that year, let alone the best movie of this decade.
Yeah.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Is that I really like that movie. It's not perfect, but yeah, it wasn't even my favorite movie of 2012. And if a new Batman movie isn't my favorite movie of that year, then it says something.
Yeah. Oh, look, it was tied for my favorite movie for that year with Skyfall. But I think, honestly, I'd have to give Skyfall the edge just because, I don't know, Dark Knight Rises is one of those movies. I think I've said it on this show before. Like, when it came out, I was all about it. I was so hyped for it. I loved everything about it when I was watching it in the movie theater, like the 5 times I think I saw it in theaters. But once the hype died down and you get that little bit of distance from it and you can watch it a little bit more objectively, there's a hell of a lot of problems with that movie. And again, like I said just before, I don't think they stuck the landing at all.
Well, people also manufactured problems with that film, and I say to that, it has enough of its own actual faults without having to make up more to tack onto it. I think that's just piling up. So, yeah. I love that movie. I won't apologize for it, but it ain't perfect.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't hate it. I really like it. But, yeah, it's not nowhere near the best movie of the decade. It'd be flat out making top 10.
No, I completely agree. And honestly, what you said, Brendan, is exactly how I feel. I was so excited for it in 2012, and I was so into it that, like, I was willfully ignoring issues with the movie because I wanted to love it so much. Mm-hmm. And then the hype dies down, you get a little distance, you watch it again, and you're like, yeah, I was trying to pretend that wasn't a problem, but it's a problem. And I still really like it. I'll still watch the hell out of it. There's a lot to love in there, but yeah, there are some issues as well. So, okay, apparently, according to this Google search, it was voted best film of the decade by a Lad Bible poll.
That's who it was, yeah.
What the hell's Lad Bible? I've never even heard of that.
Sounds
really?
Australian.
It's a big online thing. Like, they share a lot of stuff on social media, and yeah.
I feel like they do a lot of like video share things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything from them in a while, but I am aware of it.
So, interesting. It's kind of random, but okay. Point is, I like Dark Knight Rises. Do I think it's the film of the decade? No. But, hey, I'm glad Batman topped it. For that, so for what that's worth,
it's not even the best
Batman's
Nolan film of the decade.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is somewhere some Marvel fan is throwing shit against the wall over that, saying what complete bullshit that poll is.
That kind of makes me happy, though.
And although I do agree with the fact that it is not, that would bring me some measure of joy, just because I've taken so much abuse from Marvel people in the last couple of years.
Well,
and that's probably not going to stop. I'm just going to warn you ahead of time now.
Yeah, let me add some fuel to the fire. 2012, my favorite movie of the year wasn't The Dark Knight Rises. It was The Avengers.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I think they're both equally flawed, but I love both to death, and I ain't apologizing for either one of them. But if I had the two in front of me right now, I'd probably watch Avengers.
So would I. And
yep, me too.
I'm less of a Marvel fan than you guys are.
All right, well, there you go. We're closing the mailbox. If you've got anything for it, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. With that is where we're going to wrap up this episode of the show. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Jamie, thanks again for getting up nice and early for us.
Yeah, it's the sun's still not even quite out yet. That's how early I got up.
Well, it is appreciated. Please tell our friends at home where they can find you.
I am on Twitter at BatRaider3960, kind of easing myself back into the fold.
You're going to regret it.
Well, all I can say is, my God, people, release the JJ Cut's one of the first things I see when I get back to active on Twitter. Shame on you. I hate you, Internet.
The Internet was a mistake. Except for all the porn. The porn makes it weird.
Well, what Andy has all those Asian women on his face, so.
Yeah. I mean, and now that I'm in China,
you're
literally.
China, yeah.
Literally, yeah. So that's where they sleep now. It's weird. Brendan, what about you? Tell our friends where to find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Loey007, same on Instagram, and you can follow my podcast, The Nightlight, on Twitter at NightlightPod. And yeah, I guess all I have to say before leaving this episode is Twala.
Twala. Oh, God, yeah. Good point. I forgot about that weird thing. But hey, it works. Everybody wants a catchphrase. I already told you where to follow me, but you can check out some of the other shows that I am part of. Why Not Futurama? Scotty and I are going through that series episode by episode. Scotty, Michael, and I just did a special New Year's episode of RF for RM, so if you're still in the mood to celebrate New Year's, you can check that out. We reviewed Happy New Year, Charlie Brown. And then Disorder. Most recently, we did Treasure Planet, but we have plans very soon to move forward with Brother Bear. So check out all those different shows. You can check them out at rf4rm.com, or you can search for them wherever you get your podcasts. But that will do it for this episode of this show, Holy BatCast. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Thank you for downloading the show. Please do subscribe so you never miss an episode, and please rate and review us on iTunes. Visit holybatcast.com and find Holy BatCast all over social media on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Again, if you've got a message for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can email that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But on behalf of Jamie and Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Bruce Wayne here.
Bruce, it's Barbara.
Hey, Barb.
She misses you.
How's college?
Not bad, though the nightlife here can't compare with kicking butt as Batgirl. But spring break will be coming up soon, and I'll be back in Gotham for 2 whole weeks. Won't that be nice?
Yes. We'll all be happy to see you.
Don't drag me into this.
Anyway, that's not the reason I called. I just saw the news, and I was wondering if you'd gotten a new partner. Someone a little older?
I have no idea who she is.
'Cause if you had, I'd be really upset. 'Cause I thought you and I were, you know.
Barb, we're going through the East Tunnel now. Afraid signal's breaking up. Talk later.
Squeaked through again, didn't you?
I never fail to marvel at your narrow escape, sir.
One female bat at a time.